Hello, 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 everybody. How are you? It's Dionne Williams, the creator of the Emerge Fashion Show during New York Fashion Week. Thank you so much for joining me today for Emerge Design Talk. Emerge Design Talk was started to showcase and feature industry legends and icons in the fashion industry. During this quarantine time to provide a source of information and inspiration for creative and designers during this time. We've had a great lineup of guests. I am so grateful to all of them who I just love their careers. And this fall and winter season series is going to be even better with some great guests. I'm asking everybody to follow us on Instagram at Emerge NYFW, Emerge New York Fashion Week. And also if you could subscribe to the YouTube channel, Emerge Fashion Show, New York Fashion Week. And also please share this video. I am super excited about the next guest. I'm so happy he took out the time to speak to me. I've been following his career for a long time. Kenny Burns, he's a curator of culture. Some people call him a cultural architect, and he calls himself a lifestyle specialist. And I want to welcome to the show, like Kenny Burns. Let me put him on now. Hey, Kenny.
Hey, how are you?
Mr. This is Kenny Burns, entertainment industry executive, radio host, all of that. Thank you so much for taking out the time.
It's my pleasure. How are you this Saturday morning?
I know I am so good. I'm so happy to have you on the show because I have so many young creatives, including my production manager from M Tut Group, Mark Tutson, who swear by you, who love you, who have followed your career and is always inspired by you. So I want to know, like, how did you get into the entertainment business? Because I've been following you for years, so I already know, but the young creatives who love you, I just want them to know how you got started.
Well, first of all, thank you to all the young creatives. You keep me popping.
Yes.
I appreciate you. It's a blessing to be a blessing. I started in the business. I'm from Washington, D.C. Out of high school, I got in some trouble just trying to be, like the people I saw in the movies and on TV. And quickly learned that wasn't the game for me. My cousin, in the meantime, went to Atlanta to attend Morehouse College. And that spring, he was like, Kenny, there's this thing called Freaknik. I don't know if you heard about it, but bruh, like it sounds like a yummy, because it was his first experience too.
Yeah.
He kept hyping me up. And of course, back then there was no Instagram or Twitter or anything social. And he was like, you got to come. So I got enough stamps from enough of the right people, and I took my tail down to Atlanta and experienced Freaknik. And when I went to Freaknik, man, I was at a crossroads in my life. It was never really thought about going to college. Wasn't on my agenda. And when I got there, I just saw so many Black people from all over the world, just like me. Growing up in D.C. is 10 mile by 10 mile. And, you see the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And going here just opened my eyes up to, what the possibilities could be. And when I was in D.C., I had noticed Howard University, obviously being a super factor in D.C. And I would, hang out there, and I wanted to be a part of that emerging culture because, the Black college culture in the early 90s was the thing. You had a different world. You had all types of examples of why you should go to a HBCU, which we'll talk about hopefully shortly too. You should go to a HBCU. But, and also had, like I said, I had Sean Combs, who was at Howard when I was in high school. And he used to do parties, and he was affiliated with this music thing. And because I was in the streets, I had the, good fortune to be around all that. All industry guys want to be around real street guys. So I was in the clubs. I was making my bones that way. And by the time I got to Atlanta, I had a little bit of a name. My cousin painted the Scarface picture, and then I had, certain relationships that I had forged on my own, just being a good human. And when I got to, Atlanta, it was over. I went down that spring 92. Came back fall 92, attended Morris Brown College, saw that that Atlanta was a hotbed for music. Criss Cross had just sold 4 million albums. LaFace had planted its roots in the Red Clay Soil, Dallas Austin was producing, Jermaine Dupri obviously had produced Crisscross, and I was like, you know what? There's something going on here, and I took advantage. I told myself when I got locked up, I would pay attention to the signs, and not only pay attention to the signs, but I would act accordingly. And I saw that Atlanta was bubbling, and I jumped right in where I could fit in, and I started throwing parties, became the biggest party promoter the AUC has ever witnessed.
Wow, very nice.
Yeah.
So, but how did you, you started a promotion company, and when you started out, I was reading somewhere that you met Andre Harrell, may rest in peace. And how did he give you that opportunity, and how was it to work with him?
Well, ironically, when I moved to Atlanta, I didn't know who Andre was. I knew Puff. And because I had became the biggest party promoter in Atlanta, I was able to meet a DJ by the name of Clark Kent, who's really one of the first humans to ever see me and my superpowers. And because of Clark, in '96, I had, ironically, the same trouble I got in out of high school. My probation officer was basically, you know, like, you haven't been reporting this, that, and the third. And so I freak out because my mom ended up moving to Atlanta. She lived in 3B. My cousin and I lived in 2A. And, you know, the police basically came to my mom's apartment looking for me. So in this whole little time, I'm like, wait, I can't, you know, because back then they hold you up to 6 months before they can take you back to, and this was a minor infraction, by the way, but I just didn't want to go through it. So I left immediately, went back to DC, got my lawyer, got everything straight. But in the same breath, Andre Harrell was going on tour announcing the Motown Talent Review. It was something he put into play as soon as he got to Motown, and DJ Clark Kent, whom I'd grown very close to by this time. We were traveling. Clark was taking me with him everywhere. We would go to Shaq's house every 3 weeks because Shaq and Dennis Scott used to throw parties in Orlando. He'd take me everywhere with him, and I'd be on the mic and he'd DJ. Yeah. So long story short, told him what was going on. I told him I was ready to make a move. I was tired of being a party promoter. He's like, you have to meet Andre Harrell. And child, when I tell you, I started doing the research and found out he was the reason Puff was in the position he was in. And mind you, my whole career to that point was molding my journey after Puff's. And immediately switched gears. Sis, when I tell you, Dionne, like, the man was coming to DC, Clark was like, throw him a party. You have to throw him a party. He knows you, you know, your name is, you know, bigger than Atlanta. He knows you as the party guy. If you could put together a party. And Dionne, when I tell you I put that party together, and it was at the time Chris Webber, Rasheed Wallace, and Juwan Howard were all playing for the Bullets. Yeah, they were still the Bullets. Yeah. Wow, I'm getting older.
That's our day, Gen X.
Yeah. So basically, I threw a party. I knew he liked, you know, light-skinned women with long hair and Dom Perignon. So I had my friend wait with the Dom Perignon when he arrived. She, you know, stayed and talked to him. And it was all about really kind of like knowing what he liked. And by the time I walked up with Clark Kent, he was like, oh, shit, this is da-da-da-da-da. You know, Andre talked like this. He talks like this, Dionne. He's like, oh, shit, yes. And so he was just all hype. And he was like, so you put this together? I was like, yeah. He's like, what's your name? I was like, and he knew my name, by the way. He's like, what's your name? I was like, I'm Kenny Burns, and I make it happen. So I was waiting for that moment because, you know, it's like when you prepare yourself for these kind of interactions, you want to be ready. And so it's like, oh, he said, oh, shit, this nigga said he makes it happen. And I'm like, yeah, I said, so anything you need, let me know. So the night went on, and it was amazing. And by the end of the night, he was like, look, I'm putting together the dream team. If you want to be on it, be in New York Monday morning at 8 o'clock. I was like, bet, 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. He's like, 8 a.m. You know, I'll just start going his thing. Long story short, that Monday I came at 8. He didn't get in until 12. Oh. When he got in, the first thing he said was like, oh, sick, this nigga came to New York City. Oh, sick. And literally the rest is history. I was hired to do street team marketing promotions because I was quite savvy with the way, you know, I put plays together and people together. And I went from $60,000 a year in street team marketing promotions to $80,000 doing radio promotions, which I had never done. He just saw my ability to put pieces together, broke 702, Stilo, a couple other records. And then I went to 150,000 in A&R. This was like in a course of like 14 months. And he just saw me. You know, Andre had the special superpower of seeing people for who they were and giving them the reins. You can either continue to flow and use these reins to amplify and project your superpowers, or they can hang you. And I flew, sis, like I was on fire. And he also taught me simultaneously about culture. You know, I was never introduced to art. When I saw my first Basquiat, he had a driver, you know, he had a Bentley with a driver. His apartment on the upper west side of New York was a whole top floor of an apartment. I'm like, what is this? You knocked down walls, you took all the apartments. What's going on? And you know, when you're able to see that, but also be taught the culture with it, right? When somebody sees money and this, that, and the third, they think that's all it is. When you see the culture behind it, when you see how you can help your people, when you see that you also have the same superpower of seeing people and wanting to help people. And without him, I would have gotten it. And I've always been the good guy, right? I would, you know, I was a street guy, but I was always a good guy. I didn't, you know, when it came time to rough people up and that wasn't my thing. You know what I mean? I mean, I could and I would, but same time, I was always a good human. If you crossed me, that gave me the green light. But as I got into this business, I learned to use my words and not my hands. It was all because of Andre. He taught me, like, bro, like, little bro, like, and son even, like, you know, because he was 15 years older than me, but he always had this, you know, tutorial moment. And I owe a lot to him. And I guess you guys know that because I'm always paying homage.
That is an incredible story and incredible opportunity. You should feel, I know you feel blessed because of it.
Super blessed. But you got to understand, when you're 21 years old, 22 years old, right? And you start to see the world. I'm talking about, like, you know, you hear about fashion and models and runway show, but you're there. And then you're moving here. And wait, they want to dress like you. They want to be, and I'm like, no one ever told. I mean, I knew I was flying from Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is the drive-through. Everything comes through D.C. We Versace first, Moschino, Gianfranco Ferré, Iceberg. Like, we were the ones who put that. And so I knew I was fly. Like, you know, I believe in one thing. I got to tell you, youngins, if I don't tell you anything today, you have to believe in you more than anybody else. And I had that. But to see that everybody else wanted to be around it and needed the energy and the light, it took me to another level.
Nice. So when you call yourself a lifestyle specialist, what does that mean to you?
A lifestyle specialist is someone who has done, you know, multiple things successfully. You know, when I came into the game, I wanted to be everything I am, Dionne, at 19. When I met Claude Austin and Dave Gates, and they gave me an opportunity to promote an unknown artist by the name of Monica, I was like, yeah, we're going to do this movie. I want to remake, you know what I'm saying, Under Cherry Moon. I was like, I had these things that I wanted to do at 19, 20 years old. But it was kind of like, you know, I had to master them. You know, if I could also give a piece of advice to all these creators with so many things in their minds that they want to execute, they're not going anywhere. I have ideas from 19 years old in my mid 40s that I'm still going back, bringing to fruition. And that's the beauty of creativity. Creativity is not to be stifled. It's to, all right, boom, I have this idea. Can I execute it? Oh, I can't. On to the next. Don't throw it away, though. Store it. Put it away, and it'll come back. I have names for businesses. And right now, Dionne, what I'm doing with a lot of my mentees is specialize in their lifestyles. Before, I thought that, you know, I had to have all these ideas and it was, you know, it was based on me and what. No, like right now, I'm taking one of my childhood friends from the 8th grade, another mentee of mine, and I had this idea for a CBD company. And I love the space because of obviously how much money it's making, but then too, the healing elements. You know, I would put healing elements first and then the money. But then, you know, I'm like, yo, I got this idea. You guys are in the space. So Omar and Billy, you know, let's run thirds. Now I come in with the weight of half and you guys split half, but I'm like thirds. We're partners. But those are the ways you recycle your ideas. But being able to be a part of the fastest growing independently owned American whiskey in U.S. history, you know, that wasn't my dream. You know what I'm saying? This wasn't my dream. This was me paying attention to the signs and being a lifestyle specialist and understanding how I can help a brand. Oh, we have one more, the Holy Grail.
What is that? That's Uncle Nearest?
Yeah, that's Uncle Nearest. But, that was me paying attention. And I think that to be a lifestyle specialist, you not only have to identify opportunity, you need to be able to execute, right?
Yes.
And you also need to put other people on. But to become one, you have to do multiple things good. And by the time I created the title, I was the second Black designer ever in Saks Fifth Avenue. I sold platinum records and was a father and a husband. I don't know if it gets any more well-rounded than that.
Very nice. So I own the Emerge Fashion Show during New York Fashion Week, but I also, my main source of income is a PR and events company. So I know about events. So when I always watch you pre-COVID at those private parties you create, how do you curate a great party? What is important to you when you're hosting an event?
You know what? I think if you've ever been to a Kenny Burns experience, you've never heard me say my name. And coming into the game on the party side, like club side, and then eventually growing to hosting or performing in front of 60,000 at the Essence, it was never about me. Anytime I was at a club, it was about the birthday girl. It was about the bachelor party. It was about the birthday, whatever it was about something else and someone else. Whether it was, people used to always hire me because they were like, if we hire Kenny to host and then we get Drake to host, Drake gonna perform because Kenny hosting. So it grew from like, oh, he's an incredible MC, master of ceremonies. Then it became all the celebrities want to fuck with him. He has the light, they're gonna trust me. To wait, he's funny, he has comedic timing, like he could actually hold an award show. And I think for me, that's when I really discovered, I knew I was a people person. I knew I had a certain ability to make people move, but then it was like, no, I can make people move in a purposeful way. And that's where I'm at now. And that's why, like, if you've come to any events I've ever hosted, you felt that energy and that light. But I've taken, what was fun, learned how to monetize it, created a way for, you didn't have hosts before me. You had, Brucey B, you had a couple people out of New York City that hosted and they were, paired with DJs. But I'm the first host to really monetize it in the way that I monetize it and set up. There's people in every major city in America across the world that host and don't have to DJ. And I started that.
That's right. Before COVID, because, I watch, you on Instagram. Was it your birthday party? Like, what's one? I would think it was a birthday party. Did you have it was crazy. I was calling people the next day. Did you watch Kenny's birthday party?
Yeah, it was last year, ironically. And my friends at Cassette, I do this once a month party here in Atlanta called Cassette, and it's the best party in the world. And the party was designed to, no hookahs and phones, basically. I mean, we have hookahs and phones, but it feels like this, out of body time capsule. And last year for my birthday, we had a Halloween party and I had BBD and Silk. It was, we obviously right now are in the 30th year of Poison. So big shout to Mike Bivens, Ronnie DeVoe, and Ricky Bell. And, I was like, this is, to have a song, Poison, to still be relevant. I was like, if I could get these dudes for my party, it's going to be crazy. Yeah. So I got them. I got Silk. Ludacris ended up performing. T.I. ended up performing. LaToya Luckett, Escape. Like, it was just these things happening. And, Dionne, the beauty of my life is that I paid BBD. Everybody else, and I gave Silk an offering because Silk is one of my it was an offering. It was like they were going to do it, but I had to because it's Silk and they're legendary and no icon like that should come and do what they did at my birthday party, and icons and not get paid. So, but yeah, everybody else performed for free. And it was an out of body experience. Not only some of my favorite artists, but I got to sing.
Yeah.
Dionne, I can't sing. I got to sing. I got to sing a Silk song.
Oh my gosh.
Like Dionne, I got, last night we had an argument. You told me you loved. I was singing it. And I know I sounded crazy, Dionne, but in my mind, I was singing.
In your mind, you was part of the group.
Because everybody knows that cassette party, Dionne, everybody knows that's that's the thing. And even Jagged Edge, one of our top 2 favorite R&B groups of all time. Like I got to sing, and so this party becomes karaoke for a lot of us because we get to fulfill our dreams of singing, but can't.
Well, how did you get into fashion? Because Emerge is all about fashion and emerging designers. How did you get into fashion? You've been in fashion for a while.
Yeah, Dionne, I've always been a dressing motherfucker. I had to say motherfucker for inflection. It was part of my upbringing. My aunt always told me, you got to look like money if you want to get some money. My Aunt Lena. And my Aunt Lena was the flyest human I've ever seen. She was the one back in the day with, that's when the shoulders was in, and she would have these amazing leathers and wear the captain's hats. But she was not into the dope boy culture at all, because she only, my Uncle Oliver, may he rest in peace, was big in real estate, but she was just always fly. And even Uncle Oliver, he used to wear like the medallion with the Yamin. And I used to be like, and then my father was a gangster. So like I used to see that side of it too. So I used to get like this, and I literally, at the age of like 10, I remember wearing a yellow cowboy shirt. This is like the Western, when they had like, because Western shirts are basically, Western shirts with but I had a piped one. It was yellow. I had the brown pants, and I had the Sperry top. What was it back in the day that they were like the brown loafers with the top? And I went to school, and I put the outfit together. It's 10 years old. And I looked like a magazine ad. And I used to just kind of like pattern my things. And then I started identifying things that were just good for me, like herringbone. And, I remember when the polka dot movement was happening. But I was just doing things different, and I was pulling it in the way that I liked. And in 1997, I started becoming legendary for my outfits. Now, this is pre-Instagram. I wish I had Instagram back then, because when I post pictures now, people are like, where'd you get them? I'm like, bro, this is 1998. So long story short, by the time I got into the 2000s, my friends and I, Ryan Glover and Derek Dudley, we decided that hip hop, needed to change. It was all big shorts and white tees to your ankles, and we were like, look, we're growing up. Hip hop should be growing up visually, like we're a big, we went from $1 million business to $1 billion business. We should look like the boardrooms we're entering, And so we created the button ups. Jay-Z wore them and changed clothes. Usher, Ashton Kutcher, whomever was the thing back there, they were wearing these Ryan Kenny button ups.
Yeah.
And we went on to make a full-fledged line, became the second Black designers ever in Saks Fifth Avenue, before Virgil, before anybody other than Willie Ware in the 80s. Ryan Kenny was in the high-end department store first. And that's what I love, man, because I didn't realize that at the time, Dionne. Like I didn't realize we were making history, but in the history books of fashion, Ryan Kenny is Willie Ware, and then Ryan Kenny, and then all these great young contributors come after that.
So you have a line out now, like a leisure wear or a sportswear or something like that?
Yeah, my son Kyle in 2016, he's actually 16 now, but in 2016, he was like, we should do a line. And I'm from Washington, D.C., and we grew up Madness Connection. We grew up with these neighborhood boutiques that were popping, Dionne. I'm talking about doing millions a year just in that city. And I was like, Kyle, we should. And we created BRNS, Be Real, Never Sell Out. It's a play on our last name. And we've been selling out. We probably released 10 collections. We try to do once a quarter. He hasn't locked into his CEO role yet to keep this thing moving without mommy and daddy, but we try to do it every quarter. And we sell out. We do about 400 pieces each collection, and we sell out in less than a week.
Well, how can people find out more about that one?
BRNSLifestyle.com. We have a new collection coming out on my birthday, October 29th. And our ode this season is to autumn colors. And we do theme collections, and then we do the BRNS collection. So it's every other. This one is a BRNS collection. It's our logo and moniker, and comes out October 29th.
What I love about you is the business part, advertising, PR, influencer marketing. Have you ever thought about creating an agency?
You know what, sis? I've been asked to. I'm doing a partnership right now. The ink is not dry, so I won't talk about it. But this actual company was like, can you, just form an agency? Because and I was like, well, the reason I created the Lifestyle Specialist is because agencies in around 2005, you know, the gray advertising, the Uniworlds, they were grandfathered in, so they got all the business. But then you saw this uproar of boutique agencies. But what I learned was that there was a lifestyle specialist in each agency, and that person would have to go to each meeting to get the business. And I was like, you know what, I can do that. I'll just have, you know, the back office piece be, you know, not so big, which is basically my wife. And yeah, we've been rocking. We just actually were looking at something the other day, and Studio 43 is 16 years old. So when Kyle was born, we fortified our agency, but it's really Kenny Burns, and the back office is Studio 43. So
nice.
Less overhead, child. Less overhead.
But when the COVID hit, okay, when COVID hit, you and D Nice pivoted like nobody before. Like the quarantine helped y'all tremendously.
Yeah.
I mean, some people got hits, but I think you spun it around with your IG series. So what made you think of that?
Ironically, man, you know, D Nice and I started the Nice and Burn show probably, shit, it might be 7 years old. Maybe longer than that. It might be almost a decade. We were doing gigs together, and we did so many together that we just started, you know, calling it the Nice and Burn show when we were booked together. And we've done, you know, New Year's and Anguilla, so forth and so on. So ironically, when COVID hit, you know, we got plummeted. Is that the word? Plummeted? We got beat over the motherfucking head. I'm talking about immediately. For me, I lost 300 grand.
I know.
He lost, you know, he was, you know, in the game heavy too. And we were like, what do we do? And I'll never forget when I saw him go live, you know, I was worried about my dog, you know, because it was like, I know him, he's alone. His daughters, you know, are all, you know, away from him right now. And he's stuck. Yeah. And he went on and he connected in such a vulnerable way. And the music led the spirit. Yeah. And I felt like it was probably the second day. And I felt like, because I'm checking on me. And if anyone ever was on that line, they saw like, get him some food, send him some water. Like, I'm not there. Like, I'm, you know, and literally God had a different thing the next day. And I saw him, you know, and for anyone who knows D Nice, and the reason I love him so much, and the reason we're probably connected the way we are, is like, I always saw him as one with the music. And when you're a DJ or when you're a host, sometimes you really don't get that credit of knowing how to connect spiritually with somebody through music. That's not music. Yes, that's, you know, that's the substantive thing that we're offering, right? But the talent behind that, to be able to inject you with this feeling, to be able to take you on a journey, on a musical love fantasy, as D Nice and I call it, you know, that is next level. And that happened. I think it was the third day, it happened, and it just went. And so when I saw that, I was like, for myself, like, wait, I have to pivot too. I can't, you know, I can't go and play music, which I could have done, but my brother did it. So, and I'm not a DJ. I know music now. I could, but I was like, I have to connect in another way. And because I'm a host, because when I am, you know, on that stage, it's not just throw your hands in the air. Yeah, I'm spiritually connecting too. And how can I do that? And so I never used my IGTV. I had 200-some-thousand, you know, followers when COVID started. And it was because people liked the way I dressed. They admire my lifestyle, whatever. But it wasn't because I would do occasional KB-isms and Confucius says to try to inspire, motivate. But I felt like my lifestyle was motivating them. But then I was like, no, I have to talk to them. Like, I have a bigger purpose with this. And everybody was in the same mental space. We were peeling back this onion. Child, when I tell you, we were identifying things we just never knew was inside. Right. We had compartmentalized for so long, we were stuck. Yeah. So I opened up that IGTV and I was like, you know what? I gotta bring them in. I called some friends, some colleagues, some associates, people I respected, people I didn't know, that I thought would just lock in. And when I tell you those conversations saved lives, when I tell you that people tapped in on another level, because not only did I give you an hour conversation, an hour, Dionne, I gave you an hour conversation with your favorite superhero.
Yeah.
But there was so many different stories never heard, moments shared that never were, you know, shared that resonated with individuals because, you know, we're all human. We all go through the same shit.
Yeah.
And I feel like this kind of opened that conversation up. I saw so many other people do it, which was healthy and helpful for culture. I think we created communities that would have never been created without COVID. And for me personally, I had to peel back some of this. I didn't even know I had childhood trauma. I was seeing things at a young age, you know, and you can, at the beginning of this interview, I was talking so freely like it was normal because when you grow up in that environment, although I knew love, my aunts, my mother, my grandmother taught me how to love, I didn't have that father figure. I didn't have shut the fuck up. And sometimes you need shut the fuck up because if you know to shut the fuck up, you can save yourself from a lot of embarrassing conversations, or you better not go out there, I'm going to beat your ass. Right. I didn't really, I wasn't, you know, and so trial and error became my teacher. And I think through COVID, we saved a lot of people from having to go through that trial and error, you know, and to identify. Let's lock into our superpowers and be the superheroes we were meant to be. And it's a testament to putting one foot in front of the other, because I don't know if you realize this, Dionne, but I went live every day, Monday through Friday, for about 5 months straight,
okay,
with talent.
Yeah.
So to be able to wrangle the talent, to get the conversations, you know, it was hard work.
Yeah.
And I only know one other person that I think I inspired to do it, which is Fat Joe. But, you know, these conversations that we've all been curating and having, man, has been so necessary for culture. And it's a testament to keep going.
I have been watching, because I started, you know, just watching how you pivoted. It was encouraging. I loved you had some of my favorites were like Jamie Foxx, who's a great storyteller.
Yeah.
Andre Farrell before he passed away. That was
his last interview, Dionne.
I can't believe it.
Crazy.
I know you have some incredible interviews. I want to know, okay, that's our last thing. You just encourage the creatives. I told you before that, oh my God, the young creatives love you. And I'm like, I'll be like, me and Kenny the same age. Why y'all don't think I'm young?
We the same.
They love you. So can you give them some encouraging words about advice, you know, about during this time? Like, I know.
Listen.
You know,
absolutely, Dionne. Listen, phoenixes will rise from the ashes, you know, out of this, you know, weird, racist, bigoted, classist, political sphere, out of, you know, losing our loved ones and seeing this COVID just ravage the world. Phoenixes will rise from the ashes. And what we all need to realize as creatives, the changing of the guard has happened. COVID did that. People are coming out of this not as successful, not leading culture like they were, not, fortifying these new experiences. You know, if you look back at the last recession, I want to say Uber, I want to say Instagram, I want to say all these things came out of that. Yeah. So I think that, you know, as a creative, you have to be able to be a self-starter. You have to be able to be a self-motivator, and you have to know when to say when. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not beholden to one fucking idea, one concept, one way of life. We are not beholden to that. We are superheroes. We are built and designed, especially Black and brown people, to weather any storm and to create something out of nothing. I challenge all creatives that look to me for guidance or look up to me and admire my journey to not only appreciate your journey, because without the appreciation of your journey, when you finally get something, it's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
Look at Kanye West. Look at Steve Jobs. Look at, the Facebook founder. You know, money gets surpassed by power, and power is a never-ending rabbit hole. So I suggest you appreciate the journey so that when you get something, I walk around my house and I'm touching my headphones right now because I am thankful that I set my Black ass down and but you have to. You have to walk in your purpose and understand that your journey is your journey and your timeline doesn't have to match my timeline or your other superheroes' timelines. It's okay. And guess what? All you 40 and olders, this ain't our era growing up, when we were younger, 40 years and older, it was a death sentence. You were a rat. You couldn't be great. No, you're 40 now. You could just be starting. You can Samuel L. Jackson the game.
Right.
You don't have to be confused or feel bad because I don't even have gray. I'm getting it though. But child, if I have it, I'm gonna embrace it, and I'm gonna double down on you even more. Because guess what you youngins not gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna outdress me. I'm not tired yet. That's one thing. You're not gonna do that. And guess what you're not gonna do? You're not gonna try and challenge me to anything because I'm built to win. And I say that spirited. I don't say that in a way, and it's also a challenge if you want it. But I'm saying it in a spiritual way because I don't want anybody to ever think that it's your time. This is a young man's game. This is a people game. This is a human race game. And if you're alive and breathing and your faculties work, you need to be able to know that you can get out here and get it.
That's
You
right.
hear me?
That's right. Very good. So what's next for you? You have your radio show. Is this new? The radio? I think this is new. I don't know.
Yeah. We got a radio show in the middle of a pandemic, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to be the #1 voice in culture coming out of this. This phoenix is rising out of the ashes. Mm-hmm. We are going to take this offering to television, and we're just going to keep on letting people know that they can do it because literally, y'all, we all we got.
Yeah. And where can people follow you? Everybody already follows you, but where can they?
At Kenny Burns, everything. Follow my YouTube channel, The Kenny Burns Show. Just lock in, man, because I promise you, it is never about me. Although my light is extremely bright, I don't care about celebrity. I care about my people, and I want us to get what we came for, y'all. This is the time. Like, you're all you youngins that's listening to me. What are y'all now? Generation Z.
Generation Z.
Z. It's y'all time.
Yeah.
Not just because you're young and energetic and full of zest, but because it is your time. Mm-hmm. You are the leaders of the next, you know what I'm saying, wave. Let's go. Let's get active. So I salute you. I appreciate you. And I'm here if you need me.
Thank you so much. You are the real deal. We met during All-Star Weekend. One of my clients was hosting an event at a barbershop, and you came by. You are the real deal. Super nice. Don't know who I was, but came to the event along with Dave Jeff and some other Chicago people.
Oh, my guys.
Well, I want to appreciate this time that you have come on. Everybody is excited about this. Thank you so much, Kenny.
My pleasure, Dionne. You keep going. And whenever you need me, I'm here.
Yes. Hold on one sec.